Over many years I integrated each of the selves which represented the 12 dimensions of my model. As this process proceeded, I began to wake up to my serpentine consciousness. This energy spiraled its way into my life. It was not like the other aspects, and certainly did not run along the usual process of integration. Just like a slippery snake, as soon as I thought I had a handle on this energy, it would slither back into my unconscious mind and be lost in the darkness of the void. The first time I had an encounter with the serpent energy, I was completely taken by surprise. I closed my eyes and sank into the hot water of the bath. It was a relief. My tired muscles began to relax in the smoothing waters. The steam made me feel heady, aromatic coils filled the air. I slipped into a dream, or so I thought. I was aware of a bathing pool in a dark candle-lit temple. I saw in my mind's eye a serpent being beautiful and sensual, her scales shimmered in the candlelight. As she slipped beneath the waters of her bath, I suddenly realized I was this being. What surprised me the most was she was aware of me. For a split second she was in my bath looking through my eyes, and I was in her bath looking through hers. Suffice to say, I jumped up with a start, splashing water over the sides of my bath, soaking the floor. This was not a memory resurfacing as had happened many times before, with other soul aspects. This was going on in real time. As I was passing into her realm, she passed into mine. I must say I preferred her bath to mine. Her bath was covered in mosaic pearl tiles, and the water was strangely black. My bath back on Earth was inferior compared to her exquisite pool. Over the next few weeks I tried to make contact with this serpent goddess during meditation, but I was unsuccessful. Maybe it was a dream after all. Months passed with no events until one evening, whilst sipping red wine, I closed my eyes, a little heady, to suddenly find that when I opened my eyes, I was no longer sat in my room at home. I was once more inside this wonderful temple. It was warm and steamy, the air was heady, and a potent aroma filled my nostrils. For those few moments I was able to look around the interior of the temple. I saw that the walls were covered in the most amazing tiles. They looked like they were made of pearls, but when I looked closely they resembled the rainbow shimmer of a serpent's scale. The walls and the ceiling were ribbed like the temple was in the belly of a giant beast. Flaming torches lit the room in a warm light which cast shadows along the walls. Steaming metal bowls were the source of the perfume which filled the air. In the center was a pool sunken into the floor. The liquid inside was black. For a moment I looked down upon my body, which was no longer human. My body was covered in the most beautiful exquisite scales which shimmered and reflected the light of the torches. Radiating from my form were electromagnetic waves, which resembled feathered wings. It seemed I was a flying serpent. I slipped into the black liquid and slid beneath the surface. The liquid began to spin. I was suddenly catapulted back into my room at home. I was hot, and sweat was wet on my brow. An echoing voice filled my mind. Ananda Hari, divine Naga who surfs the sea of bliss. Whenever I get a name I always research its meaning, breaking the name down, looking for variations and changes, searching down many avenues, searching for information that may aid me in the understanding of its meaning. We have forgotten the power of names and how they tell stories of lineage, history and origins. So I began researching the meaning of Ananda. Ananda is a name used in Hindi, Buddhist and Jainism languages. It means extreme happiness, bliss, the highest states of being. In Pali, Sanskrit as well as other Indian languages, it is the name of Vishnu or Narayana. It means supreme being. It seemed that this being who I had shared my consciousness with was an ancient serpent goddess. Often in ancient writings D would be exchanged for a T, therefore making Ananda, as Ananda she is said to be a giant serpent circling the world. In Hindu tradition Ananda is one of the names of Vishnu, she is the infinite name of the creator. Ananta was the serpent on which Vishnu lay. I was excited and intrigued to find out as much as I could about her. So I continued my research. Anandanaga, bliss serpent, means the place where Vishnu dwelt. In Hindu tradition Shesha is the king of all Nagas, one of the primal beings of creation, and according to the Bhagavata Purana, an avatar of the supreme god known as Narayana. She is said to hold all the planets of the universe on her hood and to constantly sing the glories of Vishnu from all her mouths. She is sometimes referred to as Ananda Shesha, which means endless Shesha. Shesha is generally depicted with a massive form that floats coiled in space, or on the universal ocean, to form the bed on which Vishnu lies. She is often shown as many thousand-headed serpent, sometimes with each head wearing an ornate crown. According to a legend, Ananda, the great serpent, is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. She floats on the cosmic ocean and serves as a couch for the Lord Vishnu, who rests between his creations. When she uncoils, time moves forward and creation takes place. When she coils back, the universe ceases to exist. In Hindu tradition Hari means one who destroys samsara, which is the entanglement in the cycle of birth and death, along with ignorance, its cause. Hari is associated with a bird or eagle which flies very high. Throughout the ancient world God was represented by or directly connected to eagles, hawks, thunderbirds, rooster, geese, and swans. Her name contained a message. Was she trying to explain how she could free us from our samsara, our karma? Would this karmic patterning cleared would a rebalancing for the soul be the result? Who was this being who had slithered its way into my conscious awareness? What lessons was she going to teach me? When I meditate I always see the same thing. I am in a fractal landscape, the most incredible patterns lie for as far as the eye can see. It is a fractal sea which is alive and conscious. I use this landscape to move through portals into other dimensions. As I pondered the name of this serpent being I closed my eyes and saw the same fractal landscape forming in my mind's eye. As I fly through this fractal landscape, I notice how the fractal field reacts to my presence. I focus my attention onto the field and it immediately dimples, and the dimple begins to spin, creating a vortex which I then dive into. This vortex is created by my attention, just like a universal dreamer in the very beginnings of creation. Placing my attention upon the field makes it respond to my thought. This thought causes the field to spin. The universal dreamer placed its attention upon the field, the sea of the void, causing it to react and create a ring of electromagnetic waves. This ring is Ananda Hari. In the beginning of my nature, there was only bliss, an ever-expanding vast of nothing, blackness devoid of light, a sea of unmanifest potential. From an electrical focus of attention I was born into being, a magnetic wave in response to a touch from the divine. I am the sentient serpent consciousness of the first toroidal spin of the universe. As I was brought into creation, my initial movements caused vortexes to spin, calling all matter into being. Chasing my own tail, becoming the Ouroboros, I began to create the universe. As a torus I was all about spin. I am Ananda Hari, I am the plasma serpent goddess of the Naga. I am here to tell you my story in attempt to demystify our combined histories. My aim, my goal, my mission, my divine recognition is born out of a desire to know. I am divine, exalted, and perfect in both design and intention. By telling you my story it is hoped that you will find your heart's power and its ability to make bliss, for the secret to life and transformation lie within this. In order to tell my story, we must move back in time to the very beginnings of this universe, for I played an important role in its creation. In the beginning, if there are beginnings in a story such as this, there was nothing. Or that is how it appeared. A vast dark, velvety void lay in all directions. a place of undefined potential, and an ocean of unmanifest bliss. Time had no reference and had not been realized in the mind of the universal dreamer. Space remained undefined, unmanifest, unrealized. The universal dreamer lay dreaming dreams that had no possibility of appearing in this black naglo. No one knows how it occurred, no one knows how this came to be, but the universal dreamer suddenly had an impulse, an awakening which moved the fabric of the void, creating from its electrical spark a reaction within the naglo. The spark caused a ripple within the fabric of the nothing, causing electromagnetic waves or rings to form. Just like a pebble when it is dropped into a still pool, causes ripples or concentric rings to appear and move out from the entry point of the stone, the spark of the dreamer's awakening caused rings or serpents eating their own tails to appear in the velvety darkness. The naglo had consciousness, but it lay sleeping awaiting movement inspired by the universal dreamer to bring it into being. As the spark of the dreamer affected the naglo, dreams became actualized. The spark was contained like a seed of light within a ring of electromagnetic waves. As it began to shine, a mighty star was born, the star that illuminates 1,000 moons. A blazing ball of conscious light surrounded by concentric rings of electromagnetic waves created together definition in the void. As waves began to cross, vortexes formed toroidal movements of spin. As waves crossed yet more waves, the plasma field began to pinch, causing electrical light filaments to form in the naglo. Braiding together into cords of light, these filaments became conscious and swarms of serpentine energy. Pinching the bliss into serpent ropes caused those same ropes to become conscious and alive, and the first beings of the universe were birthed from the imagination of the universal dreamer. I am one of those beings. I, as Ananda Hari, I was here in the beginning. I am an ancient consciousness, an originator and later creator of this universe. We are the original serpents, we are the blazing serpents, the creators of worlds within worlds. For billions of years, if time can be counted, we created movement in the void, which caused the dreamer to feel the soft touch of bliss upon its star form. Bathing in the light and love of the dreamer, we were brought to bliss. Ecstasy moved us into being, conscious and alive, divinely empowered with the same imagination of the Creator itself. We began to form bubbles or spheres in the movement of our swarms. Try as we might to move in straight lines, we only found ourselves back within the center, constantly moved, attracted to the love of the star. Toroidal were our journeys to center, constantly moving in spiraled, coupled vortexes, creating the basic pattern or design for future universes. These spheres or orbs of plasmic consciousness lay in complex patterns, bathing themselves in the light of the universal dreamer, creating the star that illuminates 1,000 moons. Each moon, or orbiting orb, was the original base design for all known universes. The silver serpents, the light filaments of which I am one, moved in swarms of ecstatic vibration throughout the naglo, causing many more orbs to form, not static in their placement, they were in a dance of plasmic resonance. As the light of our trails crossed and crossed again, a matrix or grid of light began to form. Standing upon each corner of this grid system of light, a new form was seen to be born. Angels to some, angels to another, these forms were brought into being through our movement. They stood in geometric formation, holding this grid in perfect sacred geometric modula, upon which other dimensions began to form. From our journey in the naglo, pathways of silver light formed a grid which gave birth to angelic vehicles on a lower vibrational level. A new dimension was created in which the angelic forces were given birth. As I looked upon these forms manifest as complex bodies of rainbow light, I was moved to look deeper within. I moved my consciousness down into this new dimension and moved my awareness into the geometric patterning which could hold my focus. I became a seraphim of angelic light. Many of Ananda Hari's words confused me. I had no idea of their meaning, so I began to research both in outside sources and within my own divine mind. I began with plasma. Plasma is the medium through which the Creator expresses itself. It is the carrier of frequency, energy and electrical charge. Plasma is the fundamental state of matter. the molding clay of all creation. It is the primal soup, a sea of possibilities waiting to be brought into being through charge. It is the ocean of the void, an inky black velvety sea of unconsciousness, waiting to be brought into consciousness through charge. It is the fabric from whence everything comes. It is the foundation of the universe, it is the vacuum of space, in which the universe manifests itself and is the medium through which the universal dreamer expresses itself electrically and electromagnetically. Plasma is a gaseous substance consisting of charged particles such as electrons and protons. The plasma contains a percentage of charged particles. As electrical currents pass through the plasma, these electrons and protons form structures as magnetic fields. These charged particles make the plasma highly electrically conductive, so that it may carry electric currents, and generate magnetic fields that may cause the plasma to constrict, or pinch, into filaments, which twist and braid just like in the braiding of the DNA. These braidings form photonic waves of light streams, which move through the universe in a similar fashion to a spiraling twisted rope or serpent. These giant filaments, these serpents of light, move throughout the plasma field, creating magnetic waves in their wake. Through the plasmic field we are ultimately affected by the emanations of electrically charged energies affecting and creating magnetic fields within the plasma field, which in turn affect all within their environment. We on Earth are part of the Sun's electrical environment and also the galactic. We are being affected by the magnetic fields produced in the plasma field by the electrical emissions of the various stars within the galaxy. The plasma field is a medium of the transfer of information throughout the universe. Everything is talking to everything else through the vacuum, using the language of magnetic fields, which are created by the electrical discharge of the all objects manifest within the field. The plasma field is full of energy. Nassim Haramein has put forward a theory that within 1 centimeter cube of the space, there is more energy compacted within, than we can see in the whole universe. From this energy source all of creation is brought into being.